It's time for Inside the Patch with your Las Vegas Raiders. Here's Gnarley Charley.
Hi, welcome back to Inside the Patch. We are ESPN 1430, your Valley local sports leader. And we've got, of course, I'm Gnarley Charley. We got Mitch Adams, the professor of all perfect rotation. Look at that, the perfect rotation, basketball trading advice. And, of course, from Arizona, played for the Los Angeles Raiders, Vance Mueller. Vance, what's happening, man?
Hey, how we doing, guys? Oh, doing great. So nice to see you guys. Mitch, been a long time.
Oh, man, so good to see you. I was so happy to catch up with you.
You too, my friend. I see you're still loving basketball. That has never changed.
You know, it's been so long, I thought your kids were in their early 20s, and your little son, he's 29. Oh, my God.
Yeah, my youngest is... yeah, he just got married and doing good. Yeah, they grow up fast. You can't stop it.
Wow.
So Vance, you were a Los Angeles Raider. And
yes, I was.
Tell me about some of your interactions with Al Davis. What do you remember about Al?
Well, I mean, I would say, first of all, I feel super fortunate to have played at a time where, you know, I really got to meet and know Mr. Davis, and he'd always be at practice, and you get a chance to have some conversations with him, and, you know, just a wealth of knowledge about everything football, and just an incredible blessing to have had that time and be able to have those interactions. When I look back on it now, I can't even believe I was so lucky to be part of all that.
Yeah.
So
I noticed the pads were so much bigger in those days. The shoulder pads.
They were. And I think that if I played today, I'd be wearing those little Hunter Renfro pads out there and, you know, being a little quick, scatty guy.
Yeah. Hey, Vance, coming out of Northern California, Jackson, were you a Raider fan as a kid?
Yeah, I actually was. My parents were huge Raider fans, and so when I got drafted by the Raiders, boy, my parents were fired up. And our town is kind of split here. Like, we're 50-50 Raider and Niner fans in this town, but we try to always sway them over to the silver and black.
Right?
Yeah, and you're forever associated with that. I mean, do you still get to come around much? And I know the Raiders are one of the best organizations as far as keeping the alumni around and doing things for them.
For sure. And I think Mark Davis and has really taken that role seriously. And, you know, he's been putting on these incredible alumni reunions, and they continue to grow. And I know that the players really appreciate it. And I just think the Raiders do an incredible job of keeping everybody connected that way.
Yeah.
We've had some other guys on that have said the same.
Yeah.
What's that?
We love to ask, what was the biggest hit you gave and the biggest hit you took that you remember in your career?
I don't know. I probably took so many hits I can't remember anything. I would say the one hit that I really remember is we were playing the Chiefs in Kansas City, and I was a wedge buster on kickoff. And, you know, back in those days, you could use a 4-man wedge on the kickoff return. They used all offensive linemen. So I remember just running down there and trying to split the shoulders of the two guys. And we just kind of hit each other solid and clean. And, you know, when it was over, I kind of got up and I felt like my circuit board kind of flashing. I wasn't even sure if I was on or not. But I remember that one for sure.
Well, they outlawed Red Rover in elementary school, so I'm sure they outlawed the wedge too now. Because,
for sure.
So, Vance, can you tell us a little bit about the running back room? Because it was, I mean, you, Bo, Marcus, what was that like?
Well, I mean, it was obviously an incredible group of players having Bo and Marcus in there. And we had an incredible fullback, Steve Smith from Penn State, who was just an incredible player. And then we also had Steve Strahan from Boston College. So we had that group. And and over the course of the years, we had Nick Bell, and we just had some really great players there. So, I mean, every year it was super competitive to try to keep your job. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I went back and looked at the lineup from the mid 80s, and you played with some Hall of Famers, Tim Brown, Cliff Branch, Marcus.
Yep.
I mean, you even went through some big name quarterbacks as well, from Plunkett all the way to Marinovich. I mean,
yep.
When you look back on it, I mean, you played with the who's who of the Raiders.
Yeah, when I look back at it, I think it's incredible because in that list also you got James Lofton, Mervyn Fernandez, Mike Haynes, Tim Brown. I mean, there's some players out there. I mean, incredible.
Yeah.
So what about the Raiders now? The Las Vegas Raiders. I'm sure you haven't paid attention to the season. What's your feelings on how things are going right now?
Well, I mean, it feels like the Raiders are still kind of trying to find their way. It was kind of nice to see in that Green Bay game us get 3 interceptions. It's been a couple years since we had a game where we had those kind of turnovers. I think it was almost 2 years to the day against Denver. We had 3 picks. We haven't been great in the sacks and the takeaways, but it seems like our defense is really starting to maybe find a little groove. Right now, I think we're ranked, 11th in overall defense. And so I think we're starting to play a little more solid there. Offensively, I just don't feel like we've really found our rhythm yet, and I don't know if it's because the quarterback has sort of been in and out of the lineup, and so we just haven't got our continuity together. But I think we definitely have good talent there, and I really want to see him kind of find their groove, get Josh Jacobs going, get Devontae going. I like that we're starting to use our young tight end Mayer. I think we can use our tight ends a little bit more, and maybe getting Hunter Renfrow back involved in there might help us on some of those third down.
Yeah, that's a little baffling that Renfrow isn't more inserted into the offense. I don't understand it. But speaking of the offense, I hear that O'Connell might be starting this game Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Jimmy G might not be ready, and so I think they're going to go back to O'Connell, which I'm actually kind of excited to see. I think against the Chargers, he showed some chops, and then he also showed some nerve, but I think he seems like a really competitive and sharp kid, and I'm sure they'll coach him up, and I'd like to see what he does with the second chance.
Yes. Have you been to the new stadium at all?
Oh, yeah, I've been there a few times.
It's an
amazing place for sure.
Yeah. Well, Aiden O'Connell, I think I felt like when he made his debut, that last play, kind of not his fault. I mean, it was, why aren't we running? I mean, I just felt like the run was working, but I do feel like he's poised. When I see him he doesn't look like he's lost, and he doesn't look like he's afraid to throw it downfield too.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you see him out there, and you saw it, I think, right away in preseason, that the moment didn't seem too big for him. And I think in his first start, I'm not sure how much prep that he got, because I think maybe they were thinking that Jimmy G was going to be able to go, and then he wasn't able to go. So I think you saw a little bit of those first game nerves, but even so, you saw him composed after he made some mistakes and make some plays. So I'd really like to see how he develops, because I think we're going to need to have a good young backup quarterback on our roster for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, for you, how does the game change compared to, I mean, obviously we talked about the pads changing. It seems like it evolves like anything.
It does. I think, for the Raiders, we're a big time organization. We have an amazing facility in Vegas. If you haven't been to the practice facility there, I mean, it's incredible. When I think of our little practice fields and what these guys are practicing in, I mean, it is incredible to see. And I think one of the things for me is the amount of coaches on the coaching staff. I get the little Raider Christmas card every year, and when I look at it, there was like 3 rows of coaches, and back when I played, that top row of coaches were all our coaches. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there, so I think the kids have to process a lot of information, and there's a lot to learn. The game is so fast, and the athletes just keep getting bigger and faster. So it's still a really fun game to watch, and I really want to see the Raiders kind of find their footing there in Vegas. Take hold of that new stadium and really fill that house and make it a Raider house every game we have a home game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
That's our biggest fear. The visitors. We're like visitors in our own stadium sometimes.
Right. The few games I've been to, you see a flag come out and you think it's against the opponent because they're cheering. And they march it off for the Raiders. And I remember the first time I looked around, I'm like, oh my God, there's more of them than us. And that really has to change because you can even hear it on TV.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain teams who travel really well, but I think the economics of the new game is probably the biggest difference. I mean, the salaries the kids make, cost of tickets, and things like that. I mean, I think there's, a different sort of caliber of fans who can afford to go to the games because, it's expensive sometimes to go to a pro game.
Yes.
So what's going on with Vance Mueller now? What are you doing? I'm sure you got your kids are kind of grown, and what's your day like?
You can see what's under that sweatshirt.
When I got out of football,
he still looks great.
When I got out of football, I was injured. I had a pretty serious left knee injury, so. But when I was done, I had my degree in kinesiology, and so we had a fitness business, and so I've been managing that fitness business since I've been retired. And now I've been kind of cutting back a little bit because my kids are having kids, so I'm trying to be a grandpa and trying to see my grandkids. And my wife, Lisa, we've been married 35 years. She is a school teacher, and so we're both trying to find ways that we can spend, as much time and try to see the grandkids every time we get a chance.
Are you coaching much anymore?
I had been coaching football, but last year I kind of stopped coaching football, but I still coach track and field, actually at my alma mater, Jackson High School, with one of my good friends from high school, Matt King. We've been co-coaching the track team there. I ran track and played football when I was in college, so I've been a big track guy and just love track and field. And so I am coaching, and it's a beautiful commute. It's just right down the street from where I live, about 3 miles, so the commute is perfect. And the kids are great and really enjoy working in the track and field with the kids.
I went to high school where Tom Flores, I played his stadium here in the San Joaquin Valley. And also, we had Darryl LaMonica right down the street, too. So it's kind of a Raider
some pretty good football players come out of that Central Valley.
Yeah. And that's why we're big Devontae fans. And even Josh Allen's from here. And there's a lot of big-time names. So are you the Jackson? What's their mascot at Jackson?
I'm looking at that neck on this guy, man. What is it? A defensive lineman now? Come on. He looks like he's in great shape.
Jackson Tigers.
The Tigers?
Yeah.
Not the diamond glove like Michael Jackson? Nothing like that.
No.
Jackson Tigers.
No, nothing like that. We're an old school gold mining town up here.
Okay, all right. And there's a lot of tigers in the mine, so that's perfect.
Well, we combined with another school, and we've changed our mascot now to the Mustangs.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so we changed our name. We are now called the Argonaut Mustangs.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
And do you ever get the chance to, I don't know, go to the Raiders, some of the Raider events, and just hang out? Who are some guys you're in contact with? Old Raiders that you see?
I actually went to the Monday night game, and so that was fun. So I got to see some guys. But Jerry Robinson and Steve Strahan and Steve Berline, Steve Wright, Mike Dial, those are some guys that I really keep in contact with. And,
no,
and then,
Berline,
when you get together you get together as some of the alumni, you reconnect with some guys, and it's just really great to see guys you hadn't seen in a while and see what they're up to.
Yeah.
Vance, so Steve Berline's coming around to Raider games now?
I don't know about the Raider games, but definitely has been to a few of our alumni reunions.
Okay, great. I mean, because he should have. Oh my! I don't want to go down that path, but Jim Lachey at left tackle and Berline under center. That had the makings of something good. And anyway, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that's a whole different story.
Well, we love to hear these stories about how Mr. Davis had some really quality things. Not usually, the owner usually doesn't know anything about football, it does seem like, but Mr. Davis seemed to have his own 2 cents and everything. And just the fact that, man, if you were a veteran, Mr. Davis would usually give you a couple of years, give you a chance based on your brain,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he really, I think, was knowledgeable about the game. He was knowledgeable about players. I think he kind of knew the injury status and, if guys were going to be able to play for a couple more years or not. I mean, I just think he really knew football inside and out. And, I mean, there's no doubt about what his passion for the team and the game was. I mean, just incredible.
Well, we're going into Chicago this week. Do you have any advice for those Raiders out there? You ever get to play at Soldier Field or?
Yes, I did get to play at Soldier Field. Amazing place to play. I just think, we're in a good spot in our schedule where we have a chance to link 3 wins in a row here, and this is another one of those games. Looks like it might be the battle of the backup quarterbacks. So it's going to be, which quarterback can maintain their composure. I think if our defense keeps the heat on the way we've been playing,
yes,
I think we'll stay in this game. I'd really like to see us get Josh going and Devontae going. I think if we can find a rhythm where those two are really key elements in our offense, I think we're going to be pretty tough to stop.
That's awesome.
I agree. I mean,
Mitch, are we good?
Of course,
are we good?
Of course, we have to keep Jimmy G healthy.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
There you go.
That seems to be the biggest problem. But if they can keep getting that ball out quickly to Jacoby Myers and Michael Mayer, I mean, that was such a pleasant surprise to see him in the offense. Woody had about 5 catches in the first half. I mean, keep going back to that guy because that's a reincarnation of Dave Casper, big tight end out of Notre Dame, and he can block, he can catch. So
how about another guy, Todd Christensen?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes, Todd. Wow, I remember when he played for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, it was good to see. It was good to see him get involved in the game. And, Hooper's an excellent tight end, too. And I think if we get a couple double tight end sets out there, get those guys involved. And, I just think we have to get our running game going and more solid. Because, we have to be able to close out games at the end and not put it on our defense all the time.
Yeah.
We need to have a 4-minute offense that can go out there and close games out. And so I think we're getting a little better every week, and hopefully we find a rhythm and get out there and start having the offense get out there and close some games out.
Yes.
Well, Vance Mueller, thank you so much for being on the show this week. So great to hear from you, and so great to hear that you're doing good and you got grandkids. And Mitch, you got anything?
I'm just happy to see Vance. That's my buddy, and I was glad I was able to catch him to bring him on here. Good to see you, Vance.
Well, Mitch, it was great to catch up. Charlie, good to see you. Hey, my son, Shay, said, hey, tell Mitch hello. He was glad that you remembered him. I told him that I talked to you. And he said, hey, tell Mitch hello.
That's
Please
great
do.
stuff.
In fact, send me his number. I'd love to call him.
All right. I will definitely do that. I know he'd appreciate that.
Yes.
Mitch Adams, Vance Mueller, thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll be back with more Inside the Patch.
Hey,
Vance.
let's go Raiders. Let's do it this weekend.
Let's go.
We'll be back with more Inside the Patch on 1430 ESPN, your official home of the Las Vegas Raiders.